Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to C Morning Show and welcome to the business segment. Now, the investment outlook for 2024 is uncertain due to unpredictable political turmoil ahead of the general elections and the tightening U.S. monetary policies. A slowdown in investment must be anticipated given its significant contribution to the multiplier effects on economic growth. And to gain deeper insights into the economic trends of 2024, joining us today in the studio, Josua Pardede, Chief Economist of Permata Bank. Good morning, Pak.
Good morning, Rasya.
Yes, so as we know, Indonesia has been facing global challenges, namely tightening U.S. monetary policies, geopolitical uncertainties, and political year. What are your predictions for 2024?
So actually, with regard to the economic growth in 2024, we're still expecting the economic growth to be ranging around 5.0 to 5.1%. And again, this is the economy will be driven by the private consumption coupled with the investment. Although we know that in the first half of next year, the investment will be slightly slowing down, temporarily, due to the political event in February 2024, and then if there is a second round in June 2024. So actually the investor, particularly the foreign investors, will likely to be wait and see before the result of the election come out. And then of course the high for longer US interest rate also would be affecting the capital market in the emerging countries, including Indonesia. So that's why we're still expecting private consumption. Private consumption will be driven by the government spending on the social assistance, and then not to mention, of course, the spending from the election budget, to be ranging around 30 trillion rupiah next year. Also will bring would attract private driving spending from the consumers. So all in all, in the second half of next year, we are expecting that from the latest FMC meeting this month, the Fed already signaled that the Fed will likely cut the policy rate by 75 basis points in the coming year. So we're expecting that in the second half, the investment and then, of course, the private consumption will be still the driver. Of course, although we still have to be cautious that when we look at the IMF prediction, World Bank, and then OECD, the global economy is expected to be slowed down next year compared to this year. So the export performance, of course, will be affected negatively by the slowing global slowdown. So again, private consumption and then the investment will be the driver for Indonesia's economy next year.
Yeah, so especially in the first half, private consumption will increase because of a lot of spending from the election as well, but wait and see for the investment. But moving toward the end of the year, second half of the year, investment will grow as well as private consumption that will continuously to grow, right? Now, speaking of the US, the latest news indicates a decrease in US annual inflation from 3.7% in September to 3.2% in October. Do you anticipate this trend to remain favorable, and meaning that the US central bank won't rise the interest rate?
So we're still expecting that the Fed will maintain high for longer, meaning that the Fed just decided to maintain the policy rate by the end of this year at 5.5%. So the chance of the probability of rate hikes in the coming year also, I think, seem to be minimal. So that's why we're still expecting that the Fed will maintain the policy rate at least at the end of the first half of next year. Take into account that the U.S. jobs data still looks good, particularly for the unemployment rate and then non-farm payrolls in November. I think still recorded pretty good numbers. So that's why, although inflation has been declining yet, but still above the Fed target 2%. So that's why we are anticipating that the Fed to cut the policy rate the soonest, I think, in the early of the third quarter of next year, because there is no any chance in the history, of course, in the history of the Fed to cut interest rate after raising the interest rate significantly. So note that since 2022, the Fed just already raised policy rate above 5%. So there's no any story in this history that the Fed directly cut the interest rate after raising the interest rates significantly. So that's why I think the Fed will likely wait and see until the inflation also going down, and then see also the development in the geopolitical tension in the Middle East, whether it's not continuing or not. So because if the tension prolong, and then the pressure also surface again, I think the inflation in US also will likely increase, and then there is no chance for a rate cut next year. So I think it depends again on the development in the global geopolitical tension and then US economic data.
So this is very uncertain territories because we have sort of multiple sort of conflict that is in place, such as political, monetary, and also climate, right? Now, speaking of going back to Indonesia, how significant do you expect the ongoing political year to impact the economic growth in 2024?
So in our study, when we look at the latest 4 direct elections since 2004, 2009, 2014, 2019, there is a clear pattern.
Yes.
That ahead of the election, as I mentioned earlier, that the fixed investment from the foreign investors tended to be slowing down, while on the other hand, the spending from the consumers tend to be increasing. Can you imagine that numbers of the candidates from the parliamentary, and then from the candidates from the presidential, and then vice presidents will go around to attract voters. So that's why there will be some kind of a positive impact to the logistics sectors, government textiles, and then services, maybe hotel restaurants as well. So that's why the spending, or of course, and the media.
That's
the media also one of the sectors that I think would be affected positively by the elections. So because of there is two impacts from the elections, so we think that the election will be managed well by the government as well. So there is no any risk, big risk from the elections, because we are already follow for direct elections in the past. So we hope that the next president also will have a certain policy with regard to answer to boost the economic growth faster than 5%. I think that's the key from the next president.
Yeah, especially Indonesia has been setting visi Indonesia Emas 2045, and in order to achieve that, the economy actually needs to grow by 6 to 7% GDP, which is very hard work, right? And as you mentioned also, I think we've seen from the historical data for the last 3 elections that the stock exchange market actually grow positively during the election. So I think it's aligned with what you mentioned as well. And now the House of Representatives has recently set Indonesia's economic target at around 5.2% next year. Do you consider this decision a prudent one? What is your take on this?
Yeah, considering the global slowdown and then the geopolitical risks, and then I think of course the downside risk from the fiscal side. So I think it's possible to achieve 5.2%. Although I think the government needs to work harder, of course, and so that because to answer to support the for example, like our top sectors in manufacturing, agriculture, and then mining, trade. So I think those 4 sectors has to be boosted by the government to support the 5.2% growth. From the expenditure side, from the demand side, of course, the government has to promote the investments during the uncertainty these situations next year. So that's why I think the implementation of the job creation law has to be done and then has to be implemented soon, because the investor will wait the implementation of the omnibus law on job creations that has been accomplished by the government by end of 2022.
How do you see this play out? Because it seems like the government has a lot of homework, but this is also the election year. Is it possible to do all of this during the election year?
Yeah, it's not easy work, but I think the government also can, for example, like speed up the development of national strategic projects, because we know that in the state budget 2024, the government will allocate the capital spending higher compared to this year, and then we're expecting that construction sectors also one of the driver for the next year, because there is kind of a direction from the central government to speed up the development of national strategic project, because of course when the investors want to invest to Indonesia, they will ask for the infrastructure, of course, the toll roads, the ports, the airports. So I think the government, of course, needs to speed up the development of the national strategy project in order to boost the investment. So because from the private consumption, I think it's already done. How to manage the purchasing power. But the hardest one, I think, to promote the investment during the global uncertainty situation.
So we have global uncertainties and election as well at the same time. How much do you think a certain potential candidate for the president will determine the appetite for investment in Indonesia, or is the economy and infrastructure in Indonesia is solid enough to be able to have a stable investment flow?
So actually there is a room for growth in the investment, in terms of investment. For example, like downstreaming in the basic metals. We have done the downstreaming in nickel. Maybe you noticed that the regional growth in the Central Sulawesi and then North Maluku recorded the highest compared to other 32 provinces in Indonesia, double-digit growth. So that's why I think there is a room for growing there. And then in terms of investment, again, the government also needs to promote investment in the downstreaming, in order to, again, because when we look at the data, the manufacturing sectors in the last couple decades continue to slow down. So there is indication that early reindustrialization. So in order to, on the one hand, to promote investment and then to support to boost the manufacturing sectors, we have to to promote the industrialization and then to downstreaming sectors. Not to mention also to promote downstreaming in other natural resources sectors. For example, like agriculture, fishery, and then we have also have opportunity to promote the downstreaming, for example, in coal, for example, and CPO. So because of we are enriched by the natural resources, so we have to, the government has to promote the downstreaming and then industrialization in the one time, to have a greater impact to the economy. Because if we just support the service sectors, which is most likely is the capital intensive sectors, the impact to the economy, I think, is smaller compared to the impact if the government support the labor intensive sectors, for example.
All right, now given the uncertainties of 2024, as we've talked about, there's geopolitical tension, monetary tension, as well as climate tension. What types of investment should we focus on strengthening as individuals?
So actually, in my opinion, the gold also could be an option if the uncertainty is prone to be prolonged. And then bond market, of course, can be one of the
safer
options, safe option, because take into account that the expectation of next year rate cut from the Fed and then Bank Indonesia, and then from the stock market, I think sectors that are focused on the domestic economy, domestic market tend to be performing well better compared to the export-oriented sectors or the stocks. So when we look at the
because of the election,
election and then global slowdown, so that's why. And as I mentioned, Indonesian economy is driven by 52% private consumption. So sectors that related to the private consumption, domestic consumption, will be more resilient compared to export-oriented sectors.
such as like FMCG
Yes.
and retails, right?
Retail, FMCG, and then including media. I think those sectors will be resilient amidst the global slowdown and global uncertainty in the coming year.
All right, thank you so much, Pak Joshua, for
you,
your
Asia, for having
explanation.
me.
Very thorough. Now it's time for another short break, and after the break, I will be back with some updates from the world of business. Stay tuned.